Ever since the dawn of my time in Albion Online, I have answered this question over 100 times. It comes in many forms. Build, please. What's your build? Build. It haunts me till this day. But my parents raised a strong boy, so I will be ending this now. I will be answering the old age question. As a bonus, I will be teaching you how to use it, the principles within it. I can guarantee you, after watching this video, you will be better at using the one-hand dagger. So like, subscribe, and comment down below if this video helped you. First, let's talk about what you guys have been asking about, the build. I'll go deeper than just answering it, so let's break it down. This build is the most consistent and most versatile build for dagger. And the good thing is that you will almost never have to change any abilities, so you'll be comfortable with just one set of ability. You won't have to change it in any scenarios because this works in almost any scenarios, may it be as you escaping or chasing or actually just killing people. So for those who are doubting my dagger credentials, you should watch my YouTube channel. But anyways, I have played daggers pretty much my whole Albion career. I did start with curse stuff, but I transitioned to dagger because I saw a streamer named Beast1K and was captivated by the beauty of dagger. So 290 million kill fame, I think around 90% of this is from dagger, and around 3,000 to 3,500 is a dagger kill. So yeah, I just played low tier. I never really played high tier dagger because low tier is enough to actually be able to make profit like that. I've made a lot of silver from dagger. So let's proceed to the best and most consistent build as a solo PvP player using dagger. So yeah, you could use this one at open world or solo mists, but in the depths, solo depths, you could also use this one. You cannot use this one in Corrupted Dungeon. I mean, you could, but it's easily counterable in Corrupted Dungeon. It's harder in Corrupted Dungeon as well. So let's start. First, dagger. If you're looking for a dagger build and you're not using dagger as a weapon, then you have something in your brain. I don't know what it is. Have it checked. So for the skills, we have Deadly Swipes. And Deadly Swipes is good because it has a mobility on it. It could actually help you keep on top of your enemy. So next, again, Shadow Edge. Very good. Just like Deadly Swipe, it can be used to engage or disengage in the fight, which is very important if you're using dagger. Next, we have for the passive, Deep Cuts. A lot of people ask me why I don't use auto attack speed. You gain too much auto attack speed from your Hunter Jacket and your Torch that you don't actually need this one. Deep Cuts is more efficient, or it actually pays off in the long run, especially in the fights. I've killed a lot of enemies from just the damage of deep cuts, so I think it's much more useful. But if you want to use this one, you would actually see the difference of the damage. Sure, you would attack faster here, but deep cuts just hits differently. So next we have Torch. I mean, no ifs, no buts. Torch is the perfect offhand for this build because it has cooldown reduction, which is very good at all weapon. And it also have auto attack speed, which is necessary for daggers, as it is an auto attack damage reliant weapon. Speaking of which, we have Hunter Jacket. Normally, Hunter Jacket is useless, but with dagger, perfection. So, haste, increase 60% auto attack damage, auto attack speed, I mean, and then it increases your damage by 20% for 8 seconds. Imagine that one. 8 seconds. You have 20% damage and auto attack speed of 60%. So for the passives, I only have a rule for this one. A general rule of thumb is if you're 8.1 above, you should use this one. But if you're 8.1 below, you should use the second passive. And the reason for that is that if you're 8.1 above, you have too much attack speed from your Torch and from your Jacket that this won't be necessary at all. And there's a bug in here. I'm tier 8, but I'm using the first passive because there's a bug. If you look at it, it gets clunky. The game couldn't actually render the attack speed animation so that it pauses. It's just annoying for me, but the damage is still the same. So I just use this one because it doesn't pause. But 7.1, I mean tier 7 below, it doesn't actually have that glitch issues. So for the headpiece, we have Helm of Valor. It's purifying smoke and first passive. So this is the best helmet for this build because it could actually purge your debuffs and actually purge invis as well. A lot of people ask why not use Demon Helmet or Faint Call, and that's because it could work in some cases, but the best counter for Dagger is actually invisibility. And if Faint Call could not deal with it, then you're dead. So Purifying Smoke is good. It will take a lot of practice using this one, but if you're aware and you are kind of like thinking when you're playing, you will be able to get the timing right. Because you have to aim this manually, as you can see. Yeah. Next, we have sandals. Any sandals would work. Dagger is a very energy reliant weapon. So anything that would replenish your energy is good. So that's why we're using sandals. Second passive, if you're normally having a good inventory carry weight, but if you're having difficulties, you can swap in this one. Don't forget to swap back. So for the cape, this is personal preference, but I do advise two capes only. Limhurst cape and Avalonian cape. I do love the Avalonian cape personally because extra damage and it actually gives a 15% damage reduction to enemies as well. So that's good. But if you're having mana issues, energy issues, especially if you don't have specs yet, I do advise Limhurst cape. But if you're good at managing your energy, then Avalonian cape is way, way better. So a lot of people ask, what if I'm just starting over, don't have the skills or don't have the money or silver to buy this expensive build? Simple. You just have to adapt and use what you have. So Dagger at tier 4 is not that expensive. You could get it below 50k, except for the Helm of Valor, right? So I do suggest that if you're just starting from zero, use what you have. If you only have Thunder Armor and that one, then spec it up until you have Deadly Swipes. And then for the Shadow Edge, it's around 75 until you get it. So if you haven't got it yet, just use Dash. And yeah, that's good enough. For your helmet, a lot of people would advise Assassin Hood, and it does work. It does a lot of wonders when you're using Assassin Hood, but I do prefer Mage Cowl. It's just personal preference. It's not better. I could say that Assassin Hood is way better option if you're starting out. Good for PvE as well. But Assassin Hood is just not for me. I'm used in using Mage Cowl in every run I do and every 0 to hero I try. I use Mage Cowl when I'm using daggers. So that's it. That's the best build for dagger in solo PvP. You could use this one in mists in open world. You just have to swap with Undead Cape, and even in solo depths it works. But in corrupted dungeon, I don't advise this build since it could easily be countered and there's not a lot of mobs where you can kite on. So yeah, that's it for the build. Okay, so for the combo, I will be showing you guys the ideal combo, the perfect scenario combo. So first, you will have to stack up your Q 3 times. Just do some auto attack along the way. For stack up as much now, I have 3 Q. What I'll do next is press R and E. It's important you press R first so that the 20% bonus damage will be applied to the E. Because if you press E first, it won't be applied. Okay, so that's it. 6k damage for single burst. So if your enemy tries to run, you use Shadow Edge, you chase with your boots, and then you use your Purge. But always remember, your E only lasts for 6 seconds and your R lasts for 8 seconds. So you should keep that in mind if you want to chase or something, because without your R and your E, you're basically useless. So yeah, that's the combo, the perfect combo. I'll be explaining in depth of how to utilize this one properly, even if the conditions are not in your favor along the video. So stay tuned. Daggers are weird. Honestly, they're one of the easiest weapon to use, but somehow also one of the hardest weapon to actually master. One fight, you'll disseminate someone with a 300 IP gap, and the next, you lose to a guy running around with trash gear. It's enough to make you crazy in both the good way and bad way. But here's the thing. When you do land it right, Dagger is the most satisfying weapon in Albion Online. You know those weird satisfying videos? Like earwax removal or pimple popping? It's kinda gross, but you can't stop watching it. That's Dagger. It's brutal, it's messy, but man, it feels so good. And today I'm gonna show you how to stop crying stop dying, and actually start winning. This isn't a magic guide that turns you into a god instantly. You still need to practice, but I'll break it down and tell you the principles that makes Dagger consistent. So grab your big boy pants and let's get into it. The first thing you need to know about Dagger is that it is a one-dimensional weapon. There's no galaxy brain or 500 IQ combos here. Your goal is simple. Press R and E and auto attack as much as possible. That's it. In a perfect world, the enemy would just stand still and eat your auto attacks, right? Sadly, that isn't the case. This isn't a perfect world. This is Albion Online, and people run, kite, and do everything to interrupt your combo. That's why learning when to commit, and when to kite, and when to back out is everything. Remember this, R&D is what kills your enemy. And you know it's true because it rhymes. Your auto attacks are basically your greatest weapon out there. Everything else in your kit is about creating the space to actually land that opportunity and that combo. So in the next part of this guide, I'll introduce you to the principles of Dagger. And afterwards, I will show you a fight that actually shows the of Dagger as well. Principle number 1. Know your matchup. Every weapon in Albion Online has a win condition. Know what your enemy wants to do, and you'll know exactly how to ruin their plan. How do you do this? Press Y and inspect your enemy. Most of the time, you can beat any build, but there are weapons you should avoid. Weapons such as hammers, one-hand frost, sky strider bow. They are not impossible to beat, but honestly, it is way too risky. And most often than not, they will kick your butt. It rhymes, so it's true. Because they all have the ability to get away from you or stop you when you are executing your combo. Also, a general rule of thumb is that if the enemy has at least 3 counters for you, don't fight. Avoid it. What is the counter? Anything that can make distance in a short amount of time or interrupts your combo, such as stance, or even that second skill of bow, the frost shot, right? Invisibility, reflex, and firewall. Firewall. 2 counters is winnable, 3 is doable but too risky, so avoid this type of matchup. Any other matchups are easy pickings, especially swords. It's hard to lose against swords. Principle number 2. Cooldowns are your lifeline. Daggers live and die by cooldowns. Both your cooldown and your enemy's cooldown. Without your cooldown, Dagger is basically useless. Without the E ability, you cannot deal significant amount of damage and you cannot sustain yourself. The Q damage is simply not enough against other weapons. And if you don't watch out for the cooldowns of your enemy, they can easily counter you. So the real skill is forcing out their cooldowns first, then punishing on the second engage. That's how you play Dagger. You bait their cooldowns, and then you execute your combo. You rinse and repeat. Principle number 3. Don't chase. If they run, let them run. Chasing is how Dagger players throw fights. Wait, keep your distance, and force them to come back. Or engage when you have cooldowns. I am not saying you never chase. You need to chase, especially if it's a sure kill. But if it's mid-fight, and you don't have R and E, it is better to make them chase. Or just keep enough distance until you get your cooldowns again. It's just like getting women. If you chase too hard, you're gonna go home naked, silverless. So if it is not a sure kill and you don't have cooldowns, better keep your distance, not too far that they can run away, but not too near that they can attack you. Or just let them chase, because true kings don't chase. Principle number 4. You should master baiting. And keep your dirty mind out of it. You don't need to move your hands up and down. What I mean when I say this is that daggers aren't about winning in one combo. What I mean when I say bait is that you use your abilities to actually force your enemy to use their defensive utilities and mobility skills. So how do you actually bait? It's easy. You use your abilities that has lower cooldown than your enemy's defensives or mobility skill in order to pop it up and then force them to use it. And then afterwards, when you use it on your second engage, they won't have any abilities to actually counter you. So here's how you play daggers, right? This is why I always advise to only fight enemies with 2 counters, because it's a easier fight than those enemies with 3 counters, and I'll explain why. So if you use your E and then your enemy uses their sprint, that's one counter. That's one counter gun, right? So Afterwards, when you use your E on your second engage, they will use their defensives, but you have your purge. So if they use their invisibility, their reflex, and their armor, you will have purge to purge it. And that leaves them defenseless without sprint, and it's gone. It's your win. Because in the perfect world, again, the most ideal enemy would be people without counters. But most of the time, people have counters, at least one, their sprint, or two, their sprint and defensives. And fighting anything above two counters is very risky, especially if you're just learning. But sooner or later, you'll be able to do that. But as of now, stick with the two counters, bait it, and then you will win it. Principle number 5. Patience wins fights. One of the most important thing to keep in mind when you're playing Dagger is that you need to be patient. Daggers aren't about spam damage. You need to be very precise about it. You cannot just spam your skills aggressively because it is a very one-dimensional weapon. So one mistake could lead to death. That's how little room of error you have. But there is other side of the coin, and that's a good news. Because if your enemy makes one mistake, that dude is cooked. You need to be patient. To be patient enough to wait for your enemy to make a mistake. Think of a dagger as a tiger, patiently waiting for that prey. And when that prey makes a mistake, or when the time is right, it strikes. So be patient, and if your opponent does not make a mistake, force your opponent to make a mistake. Or you can just simply walk away. Principle number 6. Stick to the basics. At the end of the day, it's still R plus E and auto attacks. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Keep it clean. And the kills will come. Bait well. Practice your PvP fundamentals. And stick to the FUCK framework. F. Find out what your enemy is using. U. Understand how your enemy will use it. C. Create a plan on how to face your enemy. And K. Know when to fight and when to run. For a detailed guide on how to PvP, check out the video that I made. It is an in-depth guide on how to PvP in Albion Online, which is very useful. So if you follow this principle and practice well, you will soon be a master of Dagger. I'll be showcasing a fight in which I can showcase the principles of using a dagger. So this is a clip showcasing the 6 principles of Dagger. I think in every fight you would be able to see a certain amount of influence to the 6th principle when you're using Dagger. But here I'm gonna be explaining it, so it will be a little bit longer. So right here I'm up against I inspected the enemy, which is the principle number 1. Know your matchup. So I'm up against a tier 7 Badon, and at first glance I know he has 3 counters against me. His sprint, which is a soft counter, his chest, which is invisibility, a hard counter, and his frost shot or W ability, which is a hard counter as well. So 2 hard counter and 1 soft counter. So first, every time I fight, I always identify my winning condition, right? So if he used his helmet or his cowl and changed it into force field, I would absolutely not win against him. Not even a chance. But as seeing that he's still using his ray of light, or I don't know what it's called, but his call of purity ability, then I was like, oh, I have a chance. Even with 3 counters, he has 1 soft counter against me, 2 hard counter against me. So what's my winning condition? If I manage to bait at least 1 of his hard counter and his soft counter, then I would win. So the winning condition is that if he W and I still have my W and my combo, then I could just execute my combo. And if he uses his invisibility ability, I could just walk away or purge it. And if he uses his shoes, I could just keep up with my sandals as well. So the goal here is to actually bait 2 of those counters. And then the other one, I could just purge, except for the W. So at least I need to bait his W and 1 of the counter. Either the chest or the shoes, doesn't matter. So yeah. And also, the reason why I fought this is because look at his specs. Another indicator of new players are their specs. And yeah, he doesn't have max specs and all of those. So the best enemies for Dagger, no matter what the build is, are the noob players. So if you find a noob player, you need to assess it as well. You need to know your matchup. First engage, you can engage. If you think he's noob, then go for it. So that's it. Let's proceed. So right here, I'm using my F, my sprint, my W, everything except for my R and my E. And that is a method of baiting as well. So he said, "Oh, he doesn't have sprint. He doesn't have W. I might dismount. I will fight him." And sometimes it does work, and sometimes it doesn't. But in here, it actually did work. He will dismount in a while right here. I was trying to stock up, but I'm a noob, so I didn't hit that one. And as you can see, he will dismount. I don't think he's counting my cooldowns here. He was thinking of fighting me. Yeah. So I have the HP disadvantage. I have lower HP. Then he will be using his W. That's one condition. That's one condition applied, right? So I was like, I still have my W and my sprint, so maybe I could do this one. He uses E. You see the mistake. He uses E. He uses all ability, and he just stands still. That's the biggest mistake he could do because daggers punish those. As you can see, even if I stand below his ultimate ability, I'm still winning the engage. He uses sprint, and right there, he uses invisibility. And this is where it matters, right? Cooldown matters. I know he doesn't have sprint. His sprint cooldown is longer than my sprint because I'm using Torch. I have my W next, which he also has his W maybe afterwards. And then I did not use my Purge because I was planning to purge his sprint. Because I don't have my R and my E. Even if I purge him right there and then, I wouldn't be able to kill him because we'll also have his W. I could have stick, but it's too risky, right? So that's principle number 2. Your cooldowns and your enemies' cooldowns are your lifeline. So right here, I'm playing with my cooldown right now because I know that I still have my Purge and he doesn't have his invisibility jacket. The invisibility assassin jacket cooldown is around 40 to 30 seconds, and I have my hunter jacket cooldown in 13 seconds. So there, I'm at advantage when it comes to cooldowns as well. I still have my Purge to purge his sprint in case he does sprint. So right here, I'm just keeping my distance. I never chased. As you can see, I never chased him even if he has lower HP. I just kept my distance far enough for him to not actually be able to damage me that much or for me to be able to dodge his attacks. That's the enough distance, right? Fair enough. But in here, I have a great disadvantage because he is using a bow with a Q that has a very, very long range. And here I'm just trying to bait him into using his W to get near me. And yeah, as you can see, he's poking me very much, but that's part of the risk that I have to take. I use my sprint to bait his sprint. He uses W, which is a very big win for me. He messed up his E, another big win for me. And he uses sprint, so he doesn't have sprint. I have my F, and right now I know he doesn't have his W. But as you can see, I'm losing. So this is where baiting comes in hand. So I baited all his abilities. He doesn't have sprint. He doesn't have his W yet. I think he has his W already. So I'm keeping my distance for him to use his W. As you could have heard, he used his W right there. Let's see. Right. He tried to engage with me here. So that's one way of baiting as well. This is very risky, but it's one way of baiting. I've only do this because I was confident. I have played daggers a lot of time. I have proven results, so I was confident that I would win even with this HP. As you can see, my HP is very low, and that's when people get greedy. So you can bait either with your HP, your abilities, or anything. He's getting greedy right here. He will use his frost shot. Yeah, he uses frost shots. I know he doesn't have frost shot, and he doesn't have sprint. So I was like R and E and just killed him right there enough. I didn't even manage to use my D because it was not actually relevant anymore. He doesn't have his assassin jacket yet, or he didn't use it, but it was for his assassin jacket. He doesn't have sprint. So I was patient enough, and yeah, I stick to the basic, the FUCK framework, right? So that's principle number 5, the being patient. And principle number 6, I stick to the basic. FUCK, find out, understand the opponent's weapon or abilities, create a plan. I created a plan, and then know when to fight. So I was like, yeah, I'll fight him. Yes, that's it. I've showcased principle number 1. I inspected my enemy. Principle number 2, I didn't rush. I was like waiting for my cooldown. Principle number 3, I never chased. I kept distance. And at the end of the day, at the end of the fight, as you saw, I made him chase me instead of me chasing him. And then I turned back. I executed my combo. He's dead. I was patient about it. 5th principle, I didn't rush. I didn't actually burn all my abilities as well. And lastly, I actually stick to the basic. Without my R and my E, that's the basic of the dagger. If I wasn't patient without my R and my E, I would have forgotten the basics, right? I would have just rushed in and just killed him immediately, but I waited for my perfect opportunity, and that's the basic of the dagger. Make them use everything they have against you, and then you strike. So all the principle should be combined. You cannot just keep one principle from another. It should be present in every fight. Some would actually be more evident or be more obvious, some principle, but all of the principle is present every time you fight using dagger. Except if you're a brain dead noob who doesn't even want to win using dagger, right? So I guess that's it. I do apologize for the late upload. I haven't uploaded for like a month. A lot of things happening here. But I'll see you again in the next upload. I'll hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, click that like, subscribe, comment down below what are your tips for anyone using dagger, or if this helped you, comment down below anything. I do reply to them. And yeah, I hope you enjoy your day. Stay awesome.